Hello everybody. So I wanted to take a moment, or I was inspired to talk about sin, which is kind of ironic because the teachings of A Course in Miracles is that sin is not real. However, it is top of mind right now, or the exploration is top of mind right now after writing a post on my blog about being in Sin City. I was in Las Vegas, Nevada this past weekend, and the idea of sin came up. And the Course is very clear that sin isn't real. In fact, the Course would say that sin is a belief that what was so has been changed. So sin is an adjustment. And when the Course says what was so has been changed, what the Course is referring to is our wholeness and our completeness. So if we imagine for a moment that we are extensions of our Creator, we are extensions of Source, we are extensions of God, we are whole and complete and loved always, we are innocent always, and we then buy into the belief that we somehow can alter our wholeness, that we can alter our innocence, then what we are doing is believing in a sin. We are believing in sin. But the Course's teaching, or one of the central teachings, is that sin is actually unreal. In fact, it is an error in perception. And so when we look at ourselves or look at our behaviors perhaps, and we believe or adapt a belief that we have sinned, we are basically buying into the idea that we have actually separated or altered ourselves. We've gone from innocent to now guilty. So whenever someone has sinned, or we believe someone has sinned, what we're doing is we're altering our perception of the person, or we are altering the perception of ourselves. But we're really not altering ourselves, because we can't alter ourselves, because what God created can't be altered. However, being extensions of God, being creative, created in the likeness of God, we certainly can make the idea of sin appear real. We can choose to perceive the error. We can choose to perceive what isn't there. That's why it's called an illusion. That's why we call this world an illusion. And the Course's teaching is forgiveness. When we forgive sin, what we're actually doing is we are letting go of our belief in the perception that something has been altered, that someone has been altered, that we've been altered. But sin itself is not real. It is a mistake. And this mistake requires correction. That's it. It requires a correction at the level of mind. The way we're seeing it needs to change. And so when we forgive, we're letting go of that perception. We are all offering it up to the Spirit within us that does know, so that we can see through the lens of Spirit. Spirit does not see sin, because Spirit only sees truth. Spirit only sees love. Spirit only sees our innocence. And when I was in Vegas, it's interesting how this all comes up, because I was in Vegas and I sat down at the blackjack table, and of course, going there, I had these thoughts of, ooh, I'm going to win so much money, or I want to win so much money, or just these thoughts and ideas of really how can I add value to myself by making these winnings or creating this experience of winning. But that is really a misperception, because in truth, I can't add any value to myself. So whenever we get caught up in thinking we can actually alter ourselves or change ourselves by either gaining something in the world or losing something in the world, then we're really perceiving from the standpoint of fear. Course talks about the detour into fear, that is the separation. If we believe that we somehow can be more of something by gaining, then we are inferring that we are less than whole, that we are less than complete. And so going to Vegas, I must have had these thoughts, or unconscious thoughts, and they're always unconscious. The ego would always have it be, or try to make it so, that these thoughts are unconscious, because the ego does not want them to come into awareness where they can be healed. And so these thoughts of, am I going to win? Can I win? Then getting to the table, sitting at the blackjack table, watching watching the chips stack high up and getting really excited because there is a perception that I'm somehow gaining more abundance, as if what's whole and complete can actually gain more. What is everything, so you can't really get more. But in the illusion of this worldly experience, we can certainly talk ourselves into it and actually buy into it without awareness. And then my chip started to go down. And so then I'm experiencing the opposite of pleasure, which is the pain, which is, oh my God, I'm losing what I just won. And then, of course, there's the thought of, oh my God, let me pull out now. Let me pull out of the blackjack table. Let me pull out while I'm ahead, as if, again, we can actually be ahead or behind. Nothing exists other than this moment right now. So the idea that in any moment you can actually be ahead or behind, again, is a misperception. It is a buying into the illusion of time. And so, of course, I did not walk away, and I stayed at the table with a hope. Even in hoping, there is an inference of lack, because there is this stress, there is this anticipation, there is this strong desire for something outside of me to present itself. And in my case, it was to present myself with some of those black $100 chips. And of course, that didn't happen, and I lost $400. But in truth, it really wasn't about the $400, and it certainly, there was an awareness where I can see all these thoughts come up, and the whole experience was a beautiful setup. This world is beautifully set up that whenever we're having these kind of experiences, or really all experiences, any of it can be used by the Holy Spirit, provided we have a willingness to stay aware and invite these thoughts to come up and look at it with the Holy Spirit so they can be healed. And it's an enlightening experience, to say the least. So I lose $400, and then what sets in is this guilt. And guilt always requires a sense of time. When we're guilty for something that happened in the past. So we have to believe in time in order to experience guilt. And so I was feeling guilty as if what had just happened was real, although the entire experience is in my mind. As it is in this moment, as I'm sharing with you, it's all memory. And so the guilt was a belief in sin. The guilt was a belief that I had somehow altered my abundance, the reality of my abundance with a capital R, by the choices, the perceived choices in my mind of the past, and therefore I'm suffering. And really, whether it's gambling or any other situation where we feel that we have sinned and we're feeling guilty, what really needs to occur to resurrect, right? Putting myself through the guilt, putting myself through the anguish of, I shouldn't have, I could have used that money to something else, I could have saved that money. I'm really crucifying myself. And so the resurrection is really to come out of that by understanding, or at least have a willingness to offer it up to the Holy Spirit to heal, and recognize that the problem is not in the circumstance. The problem is not in the situation. It's really not about the chips going up and down. It's not about money I could have used, would have used, should have saved. The problem is an unconscious belief within me, within my mind or within mind, that I am somehow less than whole, that I am not the truth of what I am, which is love, that I have somehow altered my identity. And in offering it to the Holy Spirit, I'm really letting go. I'm letting go of that belief. I accept that despite my perception of what's going on, all things happen for the good of all. Everything happens for the good of all. It's not my truth to judge the circumstance or judge the situation. In fact, the Course would say, the only proper use of judgment is how I feel. And in that moment, I was not feeling too good. With an awareness, I can see how it all played out. And it was a beautiful experience because it helped me realize and helped me put into perspective and see Las Vegas for the symbol that it is. Las Vegas is a symbol to many of us of a place where we can somehow fulfill what's missing, whether it's gambling, whether it's sex, whether it's alcohol, whether it's smoking, whatever you want to do or get from the city, the fulfillment that you seek. This city really symbolizes all of this. And that's why this city is called Sin City. But sin is not real. Therefore, it's better named as Unreal City, in the sense that it is a misperception that we can actually be fulfilled by partaking in the activities. Sure, there will be moments of pleasure, but as with everything in a dualistic world, or from a dualistic perspective, up and down, back and forth, right and wrong, pleasure and pain, as long as we are in the experience of a dualistic world, then we are subject to pain and pleasure. And when we're seeking pleasure, there's an underlying belief that somehow we are lacking. True joy doesn't have those ups and downs. True joy is peaceful. True acknowledgement and experience of the truth of who we are really is whole and complete in each and every moment. It is a recognition that this moment is all that there is. It's only when we buy into the thought stream of the stories, the story of the sin, the story of the guilt, that we suffer. So sin is not real. Sin is not real. At best, what we perceive as sins can be used for healing. It could help us uncover the hidden beliefs that we have about ourselves and our identity. Sin serves no other purpose than to have us believe that we are separate from God, separate from Source. And so needless to say, I'm looking at that memory or that experience of Vegas, and I'm laughing to myself because there is certainly the recognition that I never separated. It was just an illusion. It was just an illusory experience of the human condition. And this work, this path that we're all on, is really the discovery of the joy and the peace that's within. And this is really good to remember. If you're feeling guilty or you're feeling like you've sinned, it's good to remember that that is not the case. We are seeing illusion, and the only thing that can help shift or change that is the practice of forgiveness, inviting the Holy Spirit to come into our minds and heal the beliefs that are in our mind that are causing us, or seem to cause us, to see this world or experience that is causing us pain. So that was my weekend in Las Vegas, in Unreal City. Not Sin City, Unreal City. Thank you. Love you.